Hi YouTube! Yes, I'm finally here with a dedicated YouTube video. No interviews that were done on Facebook and no lives that were done on Facebook. I wanted to talk to you really quickly about vulnerability. How do you perceive vulnerability? When you hear that word, what happens in your body? What do you think of? What does it make you feel? What are the words that come to mind? How do you define it? Because yes, the word has a dictionary definition, but actually that doesn't matter. What matters is how we see things. Your perception and how you see the entire world is all that matters, because you are the only one that could see it that way from your eyes. So, how do you feel about vulnerability? I want to talk to you a little bit quickly about this because it really underpins a lot of the coaching work that I do. Not only is it very vulnerable for a client to come to me and to talk to me, it's vulnerable for me in a way to hold space for them. It takes my energy. There's, in general, a lot of vulnerability involved in that act alone as having a client and coach relationship, which if you haven't seen any of my other videos or you don't know what I do, this is part of my work. Vulnerability is often seen as weakness. People hear the word and they think, fuck no, I don't want to be vulnerable. If I am vulnerable, I'm weak. If I'm vulnerable, I can get hurt. And although, yes, those things make sense as according to, what the word means, it's not actually what happens. What about if I'm vulnerable, I can connect? If I'm vulnerable, I allow somebody else to show up in their vulnerability. If I'm vulnerable, I'm open to life and I allow it to come to me. Here's the thing. You can only experience life as deeply as you experience yourself, is my belief. So you can only love another as deeply as you've met yourself in that level of love. If you don't know how to love yourself, also the main message of mine, get to know yourself and love yourself, you have the answers within. If you don't come at life from that place, if you don't know who you are, firstly, how can you even begin to love yourself? If you don't know how to love yourself, how to love the vessel and the body that you're in and the soul that resides within it, how on earth will you know how to love somebody else appropriately? I know that you might not believe that right now, but trust me, this is how it works and it's really important, and I'm a living example of it. Many people are. When you are in the same instance, when you are willing to be vulnerable first, to lead the way with others, to show up to life as a vulnerable being, then you start to get really deep into life. You start to allow doors to be open for you because you showed up for them first. When you go deep into what can I open up to myself, what can I open up to the world, what will I let in, I like this person, shall I tell them that, or no, I might get hurt. It's like putting yourself out there, being the one to say I love you first, being the one to put your hand up in the meeting at work and saying, actually, this is how I feel. You will find that when you do that, you will lead the way for others to do the same. But also when you're doing that, when you're vulnerable, when you go down to the depths of that, you can experience the heights. So I said it in a previous video that's on here, the Made for More interview, which you can find on my channel. You can only basically rise up as deep as you're willing to go. So the more down you go, as in not get down, but the deeper you go within yourself, the higher you will be able to go with joy and love and life's experience. I promise you this. Give it a little try. If you've got any comments to say about this, if you wonder if I've just lost my mind, or if you believe that this is true as well, but you're just scared and you don't know how to start, how to do it. If you would like to work with me as your one-on-one coach, then connect with me. Put comments in the box below, ask me questions, and I'll be happy to come back and answer them. How to start to be vulnerable with yourself? Test it out in small ways. Start to use life as your testing ground. Use your vulnerability in seemingly insignificant moments that you feel are safe to do so. So you can't go from, you know, a little bit closed off and a little bit barriered, a little bit of a wall here, to, oh, I'm just going to expose my whole life and soul and heart to the world. I'm going to say what I think about everything, and I'm going to tell everyone that I love them, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not talking about going crazy, and like, you can't go from A to Z that quickly, but you can go from A to B. So, you know, maybe just telling your partner something that you would like, or being honest about the most stupid small things. Did you like my dinner that I cooked for you? Maybe not really. Like, those things in itself, as silly as they sound, they're still vulnerabilities. When you start to be vulnerable with yourself, you start to learn that it's okay. And then when you start to learn it's okay, you start to learn self-respect and self-worth. And with those come more beautiful relationships, come understanding that you're responsible for a hell of a lot in your life. Then with that comes boundaries that you put up. So you start getting what you need out of life because you believe you're worth it, because you're open to life as well. All of these traits that I work on: self-love, self-respect, trust, boundary work, knowing that you're responsible for your life, learning about who you are, getting to know your inner person, letting down your shields, all of these things tie into one big web. So you can start on any one of them and they will start to affect each other. That will start to bring your life into a place that you'd actually really like it to be. You will start to experience life from a new level. You will start to experience new highs and maybe some lows as well, but that's okay, because you will know you are safe within yourself to experience those, because you trust yourself and you are the only person that you need to rely on to deal with them. So back to testing vulnerability. Try it out in little ways. If you find yourself in a situation where you go to maybe not be totally open or not be totally honest, or somewhere where you could share what you really think or feel about something, maybe a family dinner, or maybe with your children, something like that. Something that isn't, that you know, this is not going to be the end of the world if I do this. Call up a friend that you haven't spoken to for ages and tell them that you miss them. Something, anything. Try it out. See that the world doesn't end. Experience the emotions that come with it. Stay with those and actually see what happens out of this place. Think of it like a muscle that you're testing over and over and over to make it stronger, to see if you can start to trust this new way of living, and you will start to rewire your brain and you will start to live your life from a different place. I'd love to hear from you if you have any comments on this below. Speak to me and I will see you around these parts very soon. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, and lots of love to you all.